The household sector, 70% of their savings is in real estate. That real estate's gone down. Stocks have gone down. Incomes are threatened. And so they're holding money in cash. And so that's a problem. As far as government spending, which a lot of the economy is dependent on, about 83% of government spending is local government spending. And those local governments have gotten their money from selling land and also borrowing money. They can't now make land sales, and they also the borrowing is not going to work, and those who they borrowed from are going to continue to have problems.
大家好，今天给大家带来的是桥水基金的创始人达利欧，他对目前中国经济面临的一些问题的独到见解。我们之前听了很多中国国内的经济学家对中国目前经济面临的一些问题的见解，那我们这次听一下美国的顶尖的经济学家，他对于中国经济目前面临的问题以及解决的方式。
On the topic of China's weak economic data, now I caught up with Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater Associates, on the sidelines of the Milken Institute's Asia Summit. Now, he believes restructuring China's local government debt remains crucial for the country's economic revival.
I think that China right now is at a juncture. And if I take the economic, the real problem is that the real estate debt problem and the local government debt problem has not been dealt with adequately yet. There needs to be a restructuring of the debt. So if we look at China, let's take the various sectors within China. The household sector, 70% of their savings is in real estate. That real estate's gone down. Stocks have gone down. Incomes are threatened. And so they're holding money in cash. And so that's a problem. As far as government spending, which a lot of the economy is dependent on, about 83% of government spending is local government spending. And those local governments have gotten their money from selling land and also borrowing money. They can't now make land sales. And they also, the borrowing is not going to work. And those who they borrowed from are going to continue to have problems. It's been let go too long, and there needs to be a restructuring and a change in monetary policy. So from an economic point of view, I think we're at an inflection point. If that is not dealt with sooner, then there's the risk of something like a Japanese situation economically for that period. So I think that that's what it looks like domestically. Internationally, again, I think the issue of taking manufacturing, going to the third world and using technologies, the chips in the third world will be part of the plan. And I think that probably they'll continue to remain competitive in that. So those are the issues that have to be dealt with, I think.
So, Ray, if you had the ears of the Chinese policymakers, how would you be advising them to handle the economy then?
Now, just what I've said. It's the difficult process of restructuring debt. And it's a very difficult process, and particularly at a politically sensitive time, because when you restructure debt, you're restructuring value. You're losing when you write down some of the debt. You are writing down some entity's assets. And so you have to, that challenging exercise of restructuring the debt and then also having a monetary policy that is conducive to not holding money in cash. There's a pushing on a string phenomenon in this part of the cycle. And so right now, when you have deflation and you have an interest rate that is above the inflation rate, and that is not only, it's the highest returning asset and it's the safest asset. You have to chase it out with a monetary policy in which interest rates are below the inflation rate, that the nominal bond yield is below the nominal growth rate. Otherwise, the debt continues to compound and become a problem. And you have to have a positive slope yield curve. And with that, you'll probably have to have some currency weakness, sort of the way the Japanese have dealt with their debt problem.
I'd like to talk about the investment environment. I mean, falling interest rates means a potentially new investment environment. How should investors be adjusting their portfolio allocation?
I think the greatest challenge of investors is now how to diversify well. Because if you look at the returns of asset classes and so on, so much is concentrated in how the U.S. market, and particularly the tech sector of the U.S. market, a limited number of companies have performed well. So when you're looking at that, there's an equity, everybody's long, and there's a long bias, and it's concentrated in those limited number of companies, which, by the way, reflects a limited number of people and a limited, and the whole issue of the wealth gap issue. But anyway, so when you're thinking about that, you have to think about how to diversify well. That's a whole other subject. But I think that some issues like to think about maybe inflation index bonds rather than normal bonds. I think there's some gold in the portfolio serves to diversify the portfolio so that if those other assets don't perform well, there's better levels of diversification, and also where you invest. Right now, I would say internationally, I would say the three things that I look at is as a country, just like individuals or companies, do they, what's their income statement and balance sheet like? Do they earn more than they spend? And do they have assets, more assets than liabilities? That's going to be important in this time. What is their internal effectiveness? Do they have internal order or internal disorder? How effective are they being productive? And number three is, are they in the risk of an international conflict? I think that the neutral productive countries, so if I was to look at that, I would say, as you look to ASEAN countries in this region, some of those, and India and so on, those are the countries that are neutral in this and also have, they're at the point where they're at their takeoff point, they have enough capital to invest and become more productive. So diversification into those kinds of assets it should be a part of the people's portfolios, I believe.
这里提到中国政府面临哪些挑战？达利强调，由于房地产和股票价值的下跌，中国地方政府面临挑战，导致人们持有现金而不是政府支出。对政府支出至关重要的地方政府收入受到影响，因为他们无法出售土地，而且由于债务问题，他们的借款也无法奏效。这个是一个目前面临的一个典型的问题，就是房地产市场一旦进入下行区间，中国地方政府的主要收入来源卖地这一块的收入大幅的锐减，那只是指望税收那一块的收入是完全无法覆盖目前中国地方政府的一个债务，也无法支撑中国地方政府对于基础设施建设以及各项成本的覆盖。所以这是达利欧认为目前中国地方政府面临的一个非常主要的问题。然后这里达利欧也提到了一个建议，中国经济需要什么样的重组？他认为中国需要进行债务重组，包括房地产和地方政府债务问题，并需要改变货币政策来解决这些问题。然后他又提到了如何比较中国和日本的经济现状。达利欧认为如果中国的经济问题不尽快解决，就有可能出现类似于日本在那段时间发生的经济状况。然后这里提到了给中国政策制定者的建议。达利欧对中国政策制定者的建议是，如果他们能听取他的意见，那就是通过重组债务来处理经济，这是一个艰难的过程，并实施鼓励支出而不是持有现金的货币政策。实际上这个问题中国政府目前正在做，包括刺激消费包括维稳房地产都是为了提振消费，要增加支出，增加居民端的支出。而且这几年包括电子产品，包括房子，包括汽车，也都出了非常多的补贴优惠券等等形式。但是目前来说效果还不是特别的明显，主要是因为居民端的收入现在还没有达到预期，而且居民端对于未来的养老教育医疗这三块还是没有一个特别明确的预期。所以我认为中国政府目前第一个是要解决居民的后顾之忧，包括他们的养老包括子女的教育包括医疗这些问题。再一个呢，就是现阶段要给居民端直接发钱来刺激消费，这样才能真正的提振消费当然最重要的还是要稳住房地产，房地产稳不住你再刺激消费 那也是杯水车薪，因为房地产才是消费的大头。好了，本期视频就到这里，感谢大家收看。